Hello and welcome to the Catch Lift Coaches Corner. I'm Cal Coach and Program Director Melissa, and this week I'm honored to introduce part 2 of Neil Chandler's story. Last week we heard from Neil as he told of 10 years of enlisted service before earning a commission and serving 2 tours in Afghanistan. Neil described to us how PTSD affected his personal life and his family. Please join me in listening to part 2 of Neil's story.
I could talk to you all day long about my experience, but you weren't there. I would have to tell you all of that stuff, right? So I think that was the hardest thing for me. I can't well, one, I don't want to tell you about it, right? Because then I have to relive that, right? So
Yep.
and then how do you transition back into normal day life when everything you've seen and done over there is on such a total different world, right? I mean, it's like, going to moon, walking on the moon, and then coming back home and like, yeah, that never happened. Like, how do you do that? You don't, right? I mean, you can't change that experience.
No.
You know what I mean? So, and I think that was the hardest part for my wife was that I never let her in, right? Because I didn't, the mindset was that, hey, I can't let her know what I've seen and done. I mean, how would she look at me, differently,
Yeah.
And not that I was ashamed of my service, but I didn't want her to experience that.
Right.
Right. So, which is trauma for her on a different level, right? So, that's a separate thing. So,
Yeah. Neil, talk to us about, so coming back home after that second deployment, how were you coping? How were you managing life?
So I knew immediately that I was gonna go get help because I had been down that road, and there was things that I'd done that I wasn't proud of between, right? So I was gonna get help, this time I was ready to admit that I was messed up, right? In my head. Things weren't functioning properly for me. And I didn't want to be back in that black hole because that black hole, that space the last time almost ended badly. So I immediately went in, to mental health when I came back. And then, the military, how they treat stuff. Okay, here's these bunch of pills.
Oh yeah. Yep.
At one time I was on 19 medication. I mean, I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
So
right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but I was working on it. I knew that, hey, I couldn't go down this path anymore. I couldn't put my family through that anymore. So it was the start of me starting to address what was going on in my head.
Was there any relief, Neil, when you finally, because like you said, first day or two, second deployment in Afghanistan, you realize like, there is something here with the PTS, so you come home and you're going to get this help. Was there any relief on any level, like leaning into that, or just still the same? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, so initially I did it because I didn't want to put my family, through anything anymore. I didn't do it for me.
Okay.
So it hadn't until I had reached that point where I need to do this for me.
Yeah, for you. Okay.
Yeah,
So at this point, it's still it's for your family.
Yeah.
You don't want the spillover onto them.
Right. And then I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose my clearance. I had my clearance. I was working at a U.S. Transcom, right? So that's the hub of all logistics in the military, right? So and so I had a TSSCI, and I did not want to lose that, right? Because I don't know why. I mean, I don't care about it now, but at the time, that was my identity, right? So without my clearance, I couldn't hold that position without that, position, I didn't have an identity in the service anymore, right? So I was not willing to, at that time, give that up. Um,
What would happen, Neil, or what would be the things that would happen to eventually get you to a point where you're going to do this treatment, you're going to do it for you to heal?
2014, I think it was September 2014, I had my second suicide attempt. Um, I, I was broke. Uh, and I don't know. Now I could attribute it into God, but I I don't know why. I don't know how or why I'm still here. It's and so this is what my wife told me after she figured it out, right? Uh, she's like, you go to mental health every day or whenever your appointment is.
Yeah. Yep.
And I typically made my appointment for the end of the day so I could go straight home after work. And she's like, you go there and you get all stood up and then you come home and I have no way to help you. I don't have any skills. No one has trained me into doing any of this stuff. And I have you broken. Well, she didn't use the word broken, but I have you stirred up and all of this stuff is going on and I don't know what to do for you.
Right.
And what I had lost it when she figured out that I had almost committed suicide, and she had told her mom about it. And when I found out she told her mom, I blew up on her. I'm like, how dare you let that the secret out?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And now your mom knows that I did this. And that's when she told me about it. She's like, I have no one to talk to.
Ew.
You go there,
Yeah.
you talk, and
Yep.
you come home, and I don't even know where your head's at. And then I see it. The kids, see it, which I didn't know all of this was happening.
Right. Right.
It's amazing how you're blind to that stuff, right?
Yes,
and
it
then,
is.
and she's like, I have no one to talk to. And I talk to my mom. I'm not ratting you out or telling on you or anything like that. I need an outlet. And that's when I realized that, okay, at that point, I'm like, okay, I need to do this thing for me. So 2014, I went through cognitive behavior therapy at Scott Air Force Base, and that was rough. That was very rough. I wasn't ready for that, so that floored me. I was unwilling to go to an inpatient treatment because I was not that broken.
Right.
I was still ashamed of that, still worried about the stigma, still worried about my clearance and all of that crap that means nothing really,
Right.
Yeah, so, but then I decided, okay, I needed the change for me, or otherwise, the next time it happens, it would be final.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
How did that kind of mind shift, that you experienced? So when, you went from attempting treatment for your family, for other people, right, to when then you take this on yourself and, I need to heal for me. How did that impact the recovery?
it was a huge shift in my paradigm, right? Now I wanted it, Now I could see the damage it was doing to me and my entire family. I mean, all of my kids. I got 6 kids, right? So I mean, I couldn't believe that I was blind to it. I couldn't believe the hurt that I had done mentally to my family. I couldn't believe how my behavior was. I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed at how I behaved, especially under alcohol. Like I was a totally different individual. I was a full-blown asshole, and I'm still to this day surprised. Um, Carrie never left me. Shit, I probably would have left if it was her. I don't know
I
if
get
I had
that.
the
I
strength
get that in my
for
own
that.
way. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't think I would have had that strength, to handle that. So, you know, with the grace of God, she stayed, and we worked, through it. I mean, she's my best friend, and she's always been. I never let her in,
Yeah.
because it was a secret, right? Uh,
Yeah.
how stupid are we that we think that we are protecting them when we are not, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. The
yeah,
damage it
so
does.
yeah,
That's
I
secret.
didn't
That
realize that. Yeah, so I was blind to that. I've never heard anyone say that. Hey, um, you need to let your wife in. You need to
yeah.
let that person that you care about in, so that they have an understanding what you're going through. She can't help you if she doesn't know. I mean, I never saw that. I was totally blind to that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was mind blowing, for me.
I'm
And the
sure.
level of shame that came with that was tremendous. I was like, okay, I know I could be better than this. So yeah, so that was my turning point there. And I
That's
also made her a promise.
mhm.
I made Carrie a promise then and there that, hey, I will never ever again in my life. I'm giving you a promise, my word, and my word is what's carried me into my life, right? That I will never again attempt suicide, right? So I did that twice in my life, and I'm guaranteeing it's not ever gonna come to that again. I promise you. I am gonna reach out. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Whatever I was willing. I mean, if I gotta go to inpatient therapy, I mean, if they gotta put me in a straight jacket, they gotta hook me up to meds, whatever, I will do it.
Yeah.
I am. So that was my point where I was willing to do whatever it took to change.
Yeah.
That was difficult. It was tough. I
Oof.
mean, it was scary as shit too. Sorry, my language. It was
No,
it
no,
was
you're
hard.
all right. No, Neil, thank you for sharing this with us, Neil. I know this is, it's incredibly difficult topics to look back on and such, but thank you so much for sharing this with us. So you do the CBT, um, the cognitive behavioral therapy. Uh, where would you kind of take your recovery from there, Neil, to keep progressing forward?
So I had an opportunity. I've always wanted to come to Alaska. Um, I had friends that lived in Alaska. We were finally going to be able to make that trip to visit them. We came to Alaska in June of 2015 for a visit. Um, Landed in Anchorage, Alaska. Drove into the valley, the Matanuska Valley, and it was the first time in my life I felt like I was coming home.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like I looked. I mean, I, I turned to look at Carrie, and she already knew. She had somehow seen my face, and she's like, I turned to her, and I'm like, I'm coming back. She's like, I know. Um,
What
and
do you think? What do you think it was it like right away that was so captivating that struck you so hard, Neil, that you felt at home?
it was isolated.
Ah, okay.
So it was isolated. There was mountains all the way around, and I could just feel peace. The air was clean. There was not a lot of cars, and I mean, it was just beautiful, mind-numbingly beautiful. I mean, and I was just like, and my heart felt good.
Yeah.
You know, my mind felt level. So and this was on a trip from Anchorage, which is an hour into the valley, right? So just that drive. Talking to my buddy who I hadn't, seen in a few years, and uh, and I knew in my heart that I was coming home,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I knew that okay, I had a lot of work to do to get there. All right, so this was June of 2015, and I was, on active orders. I was doing cyber planning for U.S. Transcom, writing a cyber plan. So I'm like, I'm a pretty Neanderthal type of guy, right? So, I mean, I was anyway. So I had to make a transition. Okay, how am I going to make this work? Um, so it worked out, and then I came to Alaska in 2015 in December. Left my wife and kids behind in Illinois, so the kids can finish up school, and then and that's where I went to the hospital at J-Bear Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, because I was working on base there. We immediately went to the hospital in mental health to engage in care. Had a horrible experience there. I was like, this sucks. But I was talking to my wife about it on the phone. She's like, okay, you can't stop there. You got to find something else. Then I went to, I found a vet center in Wasilla, which is in the valley. Didn't even know vet centers existed prior to that. And I found a counselor who was a brother in arms and had been deployed to Iraq. And he was a counselor, so I didn't have to explain anything to him, right? So
yeah, he got it.
Yeah, and that was in April, I think, of 2016 when I finally worked out where I could get in. April? Anyways, it was the beginning of 2016, and I've been seeing him since then on a bi-weekly basis, which has really improved my life and the life of my kids. So I've done a lot of programs. I did in 2016, I did a program called Soldier's Heart, which was a brand new program in Alaska. And it was ran through a Native incorporation. And I did that program, and it was a talk therapy program, which I, totally uncomfortable with, but is what I needed and broke that barrier for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I became a huge supporter of that in the program. So a shout out to Soldier's Heart.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for hitting on that, Neil. So you've been in Alaska now a few years.
Yeah.
What's what are you doing in Alaska? What's some of your favorite outdoor activities that you get to do?
Oh man, anything in Alaska is fun. So I send you some pictures of the Northern Lights, right? So I see the Northern Lights out my window, my bedroom window, just laying in bed, and I mean,
it's wild.
I was like, what? So I mean, we're the land of the midnight sun, so our summers are endless, sunshine. We do a lot of outdoor stuff. I love hunting and fishing, and all my friends always say, yeah, you fish a lot, but you don't catch anything, and you hunt a lot, but you don't shoot anything. But for me, the joy is just being outside. I'm the type of fisherman that I just want to line in the water. You know what I mean? I don't care if I catch a fish or not. It's the same for hunting. Even though I need to put some meat in my freezer, but it's time in the woods. Which I love. It's quiet reflection time, which now I could do that and not live in that pain in my head. So I could do the good quiet reflection and be okay with it. So man, we hike everywhere. I got a side by side that I drive around, or my kids drive around. I just Alaska definitely made sure that I keep my feet on the ground. I am definitely grounded. Yeah, I love this place.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, and like I said, I was born and raised in the Caribbean, right? So I mean, and my folks
that's
always
a big change.
Trying to remind me, hey, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah, I do have a TBI, and that might explain it, but but I love this place,
yeah,
and I probably will never leave, so.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad you found Alaska, Neil. That's tremendous.
Yeah, me too. It's been good. It's been great, for me and my family.
Good. So
Yeah.
I want you to talk a bit about him, Neil. Neil, you and your wife have 6 incredible children. Would you tell us a bit about your family?
Yeah. So my oldest is Inokeli, and she lives in Illinois. She stayed there with her boyfriend and their son, who will be 3 next month. Next week. Sorry, the 9th. He'll be 3. Rylan. So they have a great life there. I love each other there and having a good time. Then my next oldest is Cullen. O'Kelly is 26, by the way, and then Cullen is 25. Um, Cullen always wanted to follow my footstep and be in the service. Well, me and his mom, but he was born with a hearing defect, so does not qualify for service. Which wasn't his calling in life, anyways, right? So he is doing a mission work out in one of the rural villages in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he went on to graduate from um, University of Fairbanks with a engineering degree, but was called to do God's work somewhere else and doing something else. It was a little hard for for him to um, break that news into us that he wasn't going to be an engineer. He was going to be a teacher. So he teaches in school, K through 12 in the village, and he teaches math and physics. I'm like, listen, my parents couldn't choose it for me, so there's no way I can choose
Yeah.
it for you, brother. So, and he's loving it. He's married and has a, see, 6-month old. We're in the 5th month
Wonderful.
now. Nope, almost 8 months old. And they are loving life. Then I have, Sadie, who is 20. She'll be 22 in July. Sadie gets married here August 6th. And her and her fiance has been seeing each other for a couple of years. Good kids. And I have a grandson there, Elliot. He is 6. So he's been in my life for the last few years, and just a ball of joy. And so I get to spoil him because he's here,
Yeah.
So she lives locally in town, so that's nice. Then I have my 18-year-old Nadia. She told me last night she has 1 week left in high school. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. So she graduates next.
Oh my
Well, she
gosh.
has. She's done next Thursday. I think is her last day in high school. And so she's heading up to follow in her brother's footstep and go to University of Fairbanks, and she wants to be a teacher as well. So that's exciting there, for her and us. And then I have my a 17-year-old Akavi. Akavi has always wanted to be a pilot of flying jets in the Air Force. So he is aspiring to go to the Air Force Academy. And so we're trying to help him achieve his dreams as well. But even as a young kid, that was his goal, and he's stuck to it. So I'm like, man, you got to do
Yeah,
you.
that's pretty solid then. Yep.
Yeah, so trying to, help. And then I got my youngest spoiled rotten 12-year-old Sumi. Sumi is a life of the party, and she's excited to be the only kid in the house because Kavi leaves for college next year, and she thinks that she's going to get to do all this fun stuff with mom and dad that the other kids weren't able to do. So yeah, so the kids are definitely a beacon of light in my life, in our life. Great kids, great kids. I can't. I've been truly blessed. Kids are um, uh, they have great manners, love people, got a good social skills. Um, they love America, which
Oh
that's
yeah. Yep.
truly, which is huge, for me, because there's a lot of kids right now in America that don't love America, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
It
yeah,
is. It's unfortunately it's
yeah,
gotten it's
you know what I
gotten
mean? So,
rarer and rarer, right, to find that
yeah,
patriotism in
so
young Americans. So that's
yeah,
so beautiful.
so yeah, definitely proud, dad. you know.
Thank you for telling us about your family, Neil.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk to you about Catch a Lift. Uh,
Yeah.
Neil, how did you find Catch a Lift or learn about us?
So 2020, right as COVID had hit off, I was on one of the a veteran website, and there was a link there for Catch a Lift. I looked into it, and I was like, oh, I should do this. So I went in, I enrolled, I did the application thing, and then I never heard anything. But that's when COVID it kicked off. I think there was maybe a suspension of stuff then. Um, and then I'm like, yeah, whatever, I moved on. But there's a lot of other things going on at that time.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, April of last year, that I don't know if it was a reminder or that linked flashed back up on my page, and I was like, oh, I should look into that again. So I reached back out to Catch a Lift, and they were like, oh yeah, we are engaged again. And so then uh, they got me, set up to talk, to a coach over the phone, do that interview thing, and to get set up. I spoke with the coach. At the time, I don't remember who the coach was that I spoke to, but after the whole thing was done, they set me up with a coach, Jimmy. What's Jimmy's last name? Blockett, I think. Is it Blockett?
Yeah. Yep. Coach Jimmy. Yep.
Yeah. So they set me up with him, who is a ball of sunshine. Man, that guy. That
Yeah.
guy, powerful. And a shout out to the coach there. He went way above and beyond to accommodate, my schedule. When he was doing things, for a group, I was at work, because of the time difference. But man, that guy, he, on the weekends, late in the evenings, and we would do Zoom, and I would be in my bathroom with my bands, working out with Coach. I mean, and just killing it. So that was a huge inspiration for me to know that
great.
hey, if Coach was willing to sacrifice his own time. I mean, I know you guys are all volunteers, but his outside the week time to be there for me, then I need to show up, all for myself, right? So that started my journey with Cal. And it has been a huge successful journey, for me. I started in April of 2021. I weighed 257 pounds. 257 pounds, man. I'm fat. I'm huge. I'm heavy. And all of those health stuff that comes with it, right? And today's Thursday. So Tuesday, I stepped on the scale. I am 215.8 pounds. Right?
Congratulations, Neil.
Yeah,
that's tremendous.
So
oh my
I was
gosh.
just blown away, man. So I was just like, who would ever thought that doing bands, right? Just
bands are no joke for sure,
basically, right?
Yeah.
And then
so
that's
tremendous.
Yeah, so I've incorporated a lot of other stuff with that. I had the opportunity to get a grant for a treadmill, which I use all the time. I love it. It's not a close and hang up. I put it downstairs so I don't hang anything on it, and it's next to my my plant nursery. So I take in my plants and I go out on the treadmill.
Nice.
So it's kind of a routine, and I do yoga. I love yoga, which I thought yoga was for ladies only, for lack of anything else. So yoga, man, that is the shit right there. Yoga.
It's no joke too, right?
It's no joke.
It's no joke. It will humble you quickly.
Oh man, I was like, yeah, I could do that. No, I can't. So, but the level of flexibility and the level of strength and peace that I've gotten with yoga is mind blowing. I was like,
that's tremendous.
I could have been doing this my whole life. I'm like, I'm Indian. Yoga came from us. You know what I mean? That's part of my culture and heritage. Why hadn't I embraced this? because I had that guy stereotype, or the guys don't do yoga. That's dumb. Right? So we get this in the mental thing in
Oh
our
yeah,
head that
yeah,
blocks us from, you
absolutely.
know what
We
I mean?
do.
So, but yeah, so so I've from health wise, for treatment I go to the chiropractor and I do acupuncture. For stuff at home, I do the treadmill, the yoga, and the bands, um, and in the meditation. So
Wonderful.
so I'm working on my spirituality. I have been spiritually empty for a long time. I'm lost. I really lost, like I told you earlier. I lost faith in God um, over the things I've seen and experienced, and that question that comes to us: how can there truly be a God if he or she or God if God lets this happen, right? If How can God let this happen? Well, God doesn't let anything happen, right? We we are given choice, right?
For sure.
We
Yep.
choose to do that, and then we realize this, and then we blame or question God, right? So I'm slowly trying to get there. My wife is a strong Christian. I grew up as a Hindu and hasn't had any religious connections for the last 30 years, right? So I have, from the day I joined the military, I hadn't really practiced any religion. I've embraced all in religion, but I'm slowly working my way back towards God, and however form or shape that takes for me. I
It's
know my
certainly a
wife would
journey.
yeah, I know my wife
Yeah.
would really like for us to be a Christian family. Um, Worship together, and that has been hard for her
Yeah.
and the kids, that I am not a part of that, and I know that, and I'm working on that. And oh, don't tell I said that, but so that's my struggle. I think if we had anything that we struggle with as a relationship, it would be that part that I don't have a God in my life yet. So,
Right.
but watching episodes of Coaches in the Corner, and hearing, you know, testimony from my brothers and my sisters out there who have reintroduced God into their life after all of the stuff that has happened
Right.
to them and the things that they've been into. I know I need God in my life.
Yeah.
I know it, right? I know it. I just haven't done it. I just haven't asked a God to come back in my life.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I struggle, with that, right? I struggle with inner beliefs. And I've spoken to my counselors about this on numerous times. And, I just, that somehow I need to get that inner connection back. Right. So, and I have had a lot of, support and encouragement from
Yeah.
friends and family
Good.
about that, so.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, Neil, too. Thank you for sharing that. And, like I said, it looks different for all of us, right? But it is a journey, right? It is a journey, for, to either, deepen that relationship with God, or find God in our own ways. I definitely know that it's a very individual journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you though, if God is anywhere, man, he's in Alaska. I'll tell you that. And his hands is definitely, you can see his handiwork.
You
His
see him all over
beauty,
there.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just like, so my questions to God is not as rough as it used to be.
Yeah.
I've had lots of one-on-one conversation with God, and it has not been pleasant. And so, but it's definitely gotten better over the years. Just that, and I think it has a lot to do with my environment.
I'm sure it has.
So,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Neil, I've got one last question for you today.
hit me up.
All right. Are you ready?
I think so. I've been preparing for this one.
Brace for impact.
Yeah.
This is the big one, Neil. Neil,
Yeah.
what does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
Now, I knew you were going to ask me that, so I was going to, have something very
Very poignant
profound to
ready
say,
for me.
right? But I would say it has definitely given me back a sense of belonging, and camaraderie. The things that I missed the most after
Yeah.
leaving service, right? We are all going through the same journey. We all have our own experience and our own stories, right? That is unique to us, but not as unique
Yeah.
to us, right?
Right. Yep. Yep.
So I think the understanding of what we are doing and how our health really, really, really has a huge role in how we recover and how we
Yeah.
heal.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
uh, just as hearing Andy say the simplest things is drinking water.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean
Yep.
the things that we learn in boot camp, right? Hey, you're gonna get water. You have
Yep.
to stay
Drink
hydrated.
water.
Yeah, I mean we forget those
We
some
do.
of those
We
things,
do.
but our body needs that, right?
Yep.
So and just caring for in myself again. So that's been my hardest struggle, but Cal has really helped me to look in the mirror and make eye contact. That has been my hardest thing, is making eye contact in the mirror. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm not where I want to be yet, but I can definitely say that I started flexing again in the mirror. So
Oh, I like it. Heck yeah.
yeah,
Good for you,
so
Neil. Heck yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, oh,
I
I'm
like
getting
it.
there. I mean, so
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. Neil, wow, thank you so much for your service to our great country.
it,
This has been
you're welcome.
absolutely wonderful talking with you today. Absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, thanks, for the opportunity. Love to chat. I, I bleed red, white, and blue, man. So
Heck
America,
yeah.
that's who I. And one last thing, I wish we could all just identify as Americans.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's should be
I
who
feel
we
you.
are.
I
You know what I
feel
mean?
you.
So
Yeah.
but that's the last thing I would say on that. The only thing I'll say on that. So
All good,
yeah,
all good. Thank you,
Melissa, I
Neil.
really appreciate what you and your team do.
Thank you, Neil. We appreciate you so
Yeah,
very much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for always, you've been a longtime supporter of the Coaches
Yeah.
Corner. We can't thank
Yeah,
you
I
enough
love it.
for
I
that
love it. I
too.
love it. I even want when I can't be on there when it's on there. I go back because I'm a subscriber, so I go back and I watch it.
Yeah.
There's like some of the ones that I've seen already. I go back because I get a different message
Yep.
sometimes. So
Yeah,
when
just the
rewind
spot where you're at when you listen to it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's huge. So I'm glad that it's all saved on there so that I could, go back. So what's this episode 97? I
Yeah,
think it
we're
is.
like, yeah, we're
Yeah,
up there. We're really closing in fast on 100.
yeah.
So yeah,
So that's awesome. You know what I mean? So it doesn't get much better than that. You know what I mean? So
it
great avenue,
doesn't.
for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Neil. That's it for this week's episode of the Coach's Corner. We will return next Wednesday at 1 Eastern Time with another episode. Thank you, Neil, for sharing your story and your light with us all. It was absolutely tremendous. Thank you to ID Technologies for your support of this podcast. Thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, and Kaylee Nasiri for all of the work you do week after week to make this podcast possible. And we thank the entire Catch a Lift team. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube for a chance to win Cal Swag and to chat with your brothers and sisters. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal strong.